Hi there, welcome to the Legally Blind Geek YouTube channel where we focus on overcome low vision challenges. Hi, my name is Mike. Today we are going to take a close look at the macOS Big Sur 11.1 update and how it affects accessibilities and going into accessibility to set up the display so that folks with a visual impairment, be they legally blind or a color perception issue or something like this, can set up the display on their Mac computers so they can see what's going on better than what the standard settings are. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to go into system preferences, and the quickest way to do that, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so I can see the screen better. We're going to go to the top right, left, excuse me, my other right, top left-hand corner of the desktop. Click on the Apple icon, scroll down through the menu, and go into System Preferences. And in the System Preferences, one of the things when you go in to set up your desktop in these situations is you might want to go in and first you might want to check out the desktop and the screensaver images. Let's just take a quick look at that. And you'll see that I'm using the Big Sur desktop image. And I also select the dark mode. Now, here you can select either the dynamic, light, or dark. I like the dark for the contrast. Just quickly, I'll click on dynamic and show you the difference. That's what the dynamic version of this screen would be. And as we go from morning to noon to night, the angle of the sun and stuff like that kind of changes. The way it looks changes. But for me, the bright backgrounds with the light blues and the clouds up at the top make it kind of hard for me to see icons and things of that nature that are on the screen. So for that reason, I select to go with the dark mode. And in addition to the dynamic, there's the light mode, which I really don't notice a whole lot of difference other than it's basically like the sun is coming from directly over the top of the mountains, so the shadows are kind of a little bit different if they are at all. I can't see that well enough to tell you, to be quite honest with you. But when I go from that to the dark mode, the blacker or the darker background makes it easier for me to see, like my files down here. They stand out better. The contrast of the dock and the icons on the dock stand out better for me, and along with the menu bar up here on the top. So that's what I like. You might find one of these options works better for you. If you don't like dark colors and you want something bright, you might choose one of these. You might choose this one for instance. And this is all part of just setting up your desktop. And I guess that's kind of like what is that? Fog coming off the water and maybe some waterfowl or something here on a pond. It's kind of difficult to see, but that may be your thing. For me, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick with, the Big Sur in the dark mode. And then from here, let's go ahead and I'm going to hit the back arrow. I'm going to go back into my preferences menu and go to accessibility. I'm going to open up accessibility. And the first thing on the list is overview. And basically it tells us that accessibility features adapt your Mac to your individual needs. So that's where we're going to set up our display. And the first item on the list is voiceover, the second is zoom, and then the third item on the list is display. And we do have some other videos out there that explain voiceover and zoom and stuff like that, and how to set those up for folks that have a visual impairment, the VIP community, be it legally blind or just somebody that has some, vision challenges or eyesight challenges, maybe I should say. Across the top, we have three headings. One is display. The second is cursor. That's where we can adjust the cursor size. And then the third one is for some color filters. Some folks appreciate different colors. Makes it easier for them to see. But first, let's start with display. Now, The number one item on the list here, or the first box that you can check or select, is Invert Colors. And basically what happens when you check the Invert Colors is it just kind of reverses everything. If you get a dark background, it's going to go to a light background. If you have light letters, like I have the bold white letters set up here, they'll go to a bold black letter. And that's what happens when you do the Invert Colors. Next one down the list is, reduce motion. You can tick that or untick that. I keep it unticked because, to be quite honest with you, I can't really tell that it does anything for me, but that might work for you. And if it does, would you please use the comment section provided to let us know, or let me know, that you like the reduced motion and you use that and why. That would be some good information for me to help me understand what it can and cannot do better. But what I do select is I check the increase contrast button. For me, that works better for me because it brightens up the contrast a bit. And if I untick that, I think you'll see what I'm talking about. Now you see how the borders around these different shaded boxes went from standing out to being more subdued. And that's basically what happens when you uncheck the increased contrast. And we do have the reduced transparency ticked here. And what happens when you do that is, if you'll see the slider down here, we can move the slider, say, back over here where it says normal. And that's what everything normally would appear like. Those different shades of gray. It's not quite as sharp. It's quite a apparent contrast. Subsequently, if we go down here, and you can either grab this slider and you can slide it with the mouse from normal to maximum, and you can see it's a pretty good range here. It goes from grays to almost just like a midnight black without a star in the sky. It's really, really dark. So you can either grab this with your cursor and move it, or you can just go down the line here somewhere and just tick on it, and it'll move so that you don't have to hold or drag it. But that's what happens when you reduce or increase transparency. We go ahead and go up here and hit the increase contrast. It kind of defeats that, and it unticks it. Well, it doesn't really untick it, but it grays it out, so you can't use both of those at the same time. But even with the display contrast here, you can move it a bit, and it still has a good border. It still has, the nice, sharp, crisp lines. They don't disappear like when you are in, the reduced transparency mode. So that may be something that you like. Again, by all means, please feel free to play around with that. Let me know in the comment section what works best for you. Now, that's about all we can do on display. So let's go ahead and go to cursor. Now the cursor impacts what you would think. It's the cursor. If you need a small cursor, you can go all the way down to the end here, and there's what normal size cursor would look like. So if you zoom all the way out, I'm going to zoom all the way out. For me, it's hard. I can see it, but I can't really see where it's at. If that makes any sense. I can't see if it's on one of the boxes or on one of the sliders or whatnot. If I zoom in, I can see it fairly well, but I prefer to have it just a little bit larger. Say like such. That makes it easier for me to find it, easier to see, so I don't have to take this, jiggle it to make it appear. But by the same token, if we go all the way, I want it as big as I can get it. Well, that's all well and good, but what happens when you go to large? Then it covers up a lot of the text. See, if I was going to try to tick on that box, it covers up some of the words, some of the text. So from my viewpoint, zoomed in, the way you can see now that you don't see the word it or bigger at all right here, because the wide part of the pointer covers that up, and it's kind of hard to see the Q and the quickly. So if I just make that a little bit smaller, see, I can still put it over the box and still read the words that are around it and under it. So You may appreciate the larger cursor. If you do, there you go. That's how you set it to make it larger. Let me zoom back out here just a little bit. Or if you need something, a little less, but you still need a little help, then just take it down here and anywhere in between. You can make that as big or as close to normal as you care to. The next item, go ahead and zoom in here a little bit, is color filters. Now, color filters, this is where you would go to set up different hues, if you will. If you click on this box and enable color filters, any filter that you would have enabled will appear. It's like right now I have, and I don't know if you can see this now, sometimes with the screen recording it doesn't change these colors, but it's, the color I've got the color tint selected right here. So if we go with this slider and move it up and down, it will basically change the hue from, one shade to the next. And I'm sorry, being colorblind like I am, I really can't tell you what the colors are. I can see that they change on my end. Now, subsequently, you can tick on this box and you can go away from the color tint. You can select any of these options and it will change the colors. And the best way I can think of to say this, and the way it's been explained to me, is if you've been diagnosed with a color perception issue, say you're red-green colorblind, if you will tick this box, then it will help to increase the colors in that scale that'll make them easier for you to see. And again, you can intensify that or whatever right here with this slider. You can move it one direction or the other, and it will change the way these colors appear. And then if you don't want to use the filters at all, you can just untick that and it'll go back to the normal setting. So this is something that you can set up and you can turn it on and turn it off. If you're working at night and you like to have more of a red tint, you can go in here, you can set it up so that it does that for you. Or if you need something that's, brighter or more contrast during the bright daylight or during your natural tungsten lights in your office or whatever, you can go in here, you can adjust that color tint to make it simpler or make it easier for you to see and lessen your eye strain. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, eye strain. So I'll get it out here in a minute. But I think that makes it easy to understand. If not, please post something in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think. If there's an easier way to say that or a better way to say that, or if you have a question, that'd be outstanding as well. So pretty much this is where you would go into accessibilities and then go down and select display, and then you can select all that different information, the contrast, the cursor size, color filters, and so forth.